Welcome to the Builders Podcast, episode 56, Finding Time to Learn and Implement Marketing in Your Business. Where to start? Before we jump into this episode, please subscribe to this podcast, hit that notification bell if you're on YouTube, and after a listen, please give us a thumbs up, like, and share if we've earned it. With your help, we can reach more people and deliver these valuable from the trenches lessons to those that need it. Enjoy the episode. Hello. Welcome to another The Builders. How's it going? So today, hopefully I'm sounding good. I am not an audio pro. I'm not going to go to school for audio. I'm not ready to hire anybody for this podcast. This is a solo operation. It's sort of a side gig, an important side gig for my business and for my personal brand and all that good stuff. So I've been using a preset. I use software to kind of clean up my Blue Yeti microphone, make it sound better, because for some reason out of the box, without the software, it doesn't sound great. And I got into software because of the webcam that I got. It's a Logitech webcam, and Logitech has something called G-Hub that you can download. I got a Mac. You can download it on a Mac. And I did that to manage the Logitech webcam, and it recognized my Yeti. So I played around with it, and lo and behold, it cleaned up my Yeti. And but I'm kind of been going with the same preset I created. They have like some presets, like default. And I took one of those, modified it a little, played around with it. But I never was totally happy with it. So I was exploring that before recording today a little bit. And I discovered, I did not know this, that they have like a whole community. You can browse. All these people have contributed all these presets. And you can download one of them and use that. And for different types of mics too. So for my Blue Yeti, I got one called Crisp and Clear. So hopefully we're crisp and clear today. But I'm trying this out. It seemed to sound a little bit better than the one I had. So it's important. I want this to sound good, even though I'm not a pro. I don't want somebody to not listen to my content because it sounds bad. I don't think, like a lot of things, I don't think you have to be a professional. I don't have to go to school or have an audio guy around to do this. A little bit of research, some hours, playing around with stuff, getting things in a pretty good state. I think I've done it. We're doing it. And hopefully, hopefully that's inspiring to somebody. If you're thinking about doing a podcast or something, or doing audio, video of any kind, YouTube, whatever, TikTok, whatever you do. Well, TikTok, I guess you'd use your phone, right? But you don't need to invest a ton of money into it. You can get a good mic. I happen to have the Blue Yeti mic. I've had that for like 5 or 6 years. And the company I worked for years ago bought it for me. So I'm cheap. I didn't have to buy anything. But I was able to, and maybe the newer ones would sound better. This one just didn't seem to, just by itself didn't sound good. But anyway, enough about mics. But seriously, I mean, you don't have to invest a lot. Just a little bit of research and some luck. Okay. Today's topic is interesting because, well, it's interesting to me. All the topics are interesting to me because I wouldn't talk about anything that wasn't interesting to me. But no, I'm going to talk about marketing. I don't talk about marketing too often. There's a good reason for that. I've been there, done that. I spent a good part of a decade just doing internet marketing online. I made my first dollar online back in like 2003-ish and spent like I said, the next almost decade just marketing stuff through various means, from SEO to paid advertising, even social media back in the day. So, and in those days, besides actually, I was an advertiser, but I was doing affiliate marketing. So I was promoting products through pay-per-click advertising and SEO. And niche sites and all this stuff. I was doing all that, but I was also turning around and teaching other people the same thing because that's what we do. Right? So I had memberships, I had ebooks, and did pretty well in that regard. I sold how many thousands of memberships and ebooks and stuff, but I got out of that. And when I became a web designer developer, I kind of put that behind me. It was a new chapter in my life. And I'm done teaching people about marketing and advertising. I'm done advertising. And yeah, I mean, if I was going to do anything, it didn't mean I was going to have products again someday or promote my own sites and stuff. But it was not something that I was going to talk too much about on social media or whatever, right? That might be changing a little bit this year with the product I'm coming out, Unified Toolkit. There's going to be a training aspect to it because I do want to help freelancers and agencies learn how to sell web design services and how that works behind the scenes. So, yeah. So that might, my thought process right now is it won't probably show up as much on social media still or the content I'm writing in public, but it may be just more of an internal thing to that list, to that membership. Before I, go too off the rails here. So, but I am going to talk about marketing today. And it's because of a conversation I had. Now you could just talk to my VA because I drive her a little crazy because she's a prepper. She likes to prep content. She likes to plan. I kind of like my wife. She's a planner too. My real wife at home. I have a fake wife. But but I drive her crazy because I like to kind of come up with things on the fly. So I'm busy doing my thing every week, running my agency. When I sit down to write a blog post or I sit down to do one of these podcasts, especially the solo ones, I often come up with the topic like an hour prior. I sit down. I might have been thinking about some topic. Like I was probably thinking about this last night, but it's kind of on the fly. I had a conversation yesterday, day before, maybe it might have been yesterday, that with somebody, and in fact, it's somebody that may find his way on this podcast. I'm trying to talk him into it. He's kind of a little shy on the idea. He's a little nervous about it, but I'm going to get him out of his comfort zone. I actually just saw a message from him that he's going to probably do it. So, but it's really cool. He's a cool guy. But in that conversation, we got on the topic of marketing and what I'm doing, what he's doing. And I realized through that conversation that it's kind of I don't know if you'd call it a blind spot for me. You know how you have your thing, right? So I spent years marketing. I literally lived and breathed marketing and advertising for a long time. It is, and before that, even before internet marketing, I was doing sales, running businesses before that, doing the salesman and whatever. I was always selling stuff, right? So that, and then the internet marketing, advertising, all that stuff just ingrained in me. So my blind spot is kind of like, I don't think about it as something. It's hard to, when you're really, I don't know if I'm good at it, but if I know it inside and out, I don't think about it a lot. So, and I don't think about other people not knowing that, right? So I just, there's so many people out there that are really good at their craft. They start a business but they don't have that marketing background. So I did that. I got my craft. I started a business, but I have this marketing background. And so I have this natural tendency to want to market myself and understanding sales and all that. So, but the other people, like the gentleman I was talking to, his struggle is that he's programmer, essentially, web developer, right? JavaScript guy. That's what he's been doing for like 10 years. And now he's realizing he's built a team and he's realizing he needs to market his business and, do business management and all that other stuff. But marketing his business is a thing. And he's trying to do social media and all this stuff, but he's learning on the fly because he just doesn't, it's not comfortable for him. And I think there's probably a lot of people out there that have started a business or started an agency or just freelancing and don't know a thing about marketing themselves or where to even start. So that's what I want to dig into today. It's not going to be this isn't like a huge training session or anything, but I want to really talk about that because I think it's important. Well, it's definitely important for any business to market themselves, but it's important to kind of understand where do you start and how do this is a podcast about the trenches. So when I talk about something, I usually try to relate it to something that I'm doing or that I know, right? And so it's the case here. I'm going to tell you how I kind of think about it in my business and what I have focused on. We'll dig into maybe a little bit of the why, but really hopefully the takeaway from this will be, oh, that's how I start. Or that's how I should just think about it, or maybe I can just relax about this. Maybe I'm in the same boat as everybody else, and I don't need to stress about it as much. But so this is kind of like the marketing for busy non-marketers. That's what this is going to be. You could be a freelancer, some kind of small shop. This could actually not just be for agencies. This could be for any business online that needs to market themselves. I mean, obviously there's a lot of people marketing themselves on social media. They're talking about SEO. They're talking about advertising, Facebook, or I think Google still has pay-per-click, AdWords. So obviously it's a thing for all of us online that we have to market ourselves if we want to survive. I mean, even if we have business already, we're going to work on retaining that business, but we might want to, plan for the day we don't retain something and we want to grow, right? But the scenario is really, you're following your passion. Like when I started out, and decided I was going to do web design development, that's my passion. This is what I enjoy doing. I like building things. And I like building websites, right? And that's great, but there's a lot of people out there like to do that too, but they don't have insights into where to even start to either get traffic to their websites, get more business and all that stuff. It's a tough position. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, right? The problem is, you're very busy. You're already busy. You're taking care of clients. Maybe you got other things in your life too. You got family, you got, other stuff going on in your life. Now you got to find time to market your business. That's a whole other thing, right? Like, where do you find that time? The gentleman I was talking to, I would say his name, but I like to keep things a secret. We'll surprise you, and we'll reference this one when we have him on. Hopefully we'll have him on soon. But in his case, he was at that stage where he can step away from doing a lot of the actual coding and all that stuff. He's already kind of in that process, but now he's got to figure out how to balance that, even the stuff he's doing now. He's still managing a team and doing all that stuff, as far as I know. But he's got to figure out that time, how he does marketing and how that's going to fit into what he's doing. And it's not easy. Like, where do you start? One of the things, if you've been online any length of time, and I've been online for almost 20 years, but so I've learned how to filter out a lot of stuff. I know what's even something that's semi-new. I can kind of see the signs, like the artifacts around. This is a waste of time. This has all the signs of being a waste of time. Or I'm just staying focused on what I know. And what I know is what I know. Other people, are going to market in different ways. They're going to emphasize different things because they're better at those things, or they have something. For some reason, they're really, really good at some other type of marketing. And that I'm not. I'm kind of a, well, we'll get into it, but I'm kind of a ground game, SEO, pay-per-click, list building, networking kind of guy. So those are my things. But somebody else might, they might be able to do a specific type of advertising or a different take on it with social media or whatever. Maybe it's all about it being an influencer or something for that. That is not my thing. I'm not sure I'd want to be an influencer. It may organically happen someday. But I'm a little afraid of that because that seems like a lot of work, a lot of pressure. Okay, so the thing I'm not going to be able to give you is one answer or one path. I know some of you are like, okay, just give me the answer. Just tell me what the path is. Tell me where I start. It's not that easy. No matter what people are selling you. If somebody's selling you something, so this is one of the things you got to be careful with online, right? If somebody's selling you something and how they do something, how they make money, how they drive traffic, they're selling you something. When people are selling you something, they're going to say, this is the way. This is the path. Of course, there's going to be a lot of pieces missing there. You're not them, number one. You're not me. It used to really bug me with like affiliate marketers or something that would, they would teach people methods. This is how I made like $1 million doing this particular method. But you're not in this. They won't tell you the niche. They won't tell you what marketed product it was or anything else that's kind of important. Because of course they don't want you to come into their market and compete with them. But they're going to tell you, we use these strategies. It was awesome. But they have this very narrow actual application of it. So I'm going on a tangent with that. You got to watch out for those things. But there isn't. I mean, there's different things you can do, but a lot of it comes down to you. Okay? And there's no sugarcoating. It really, you know the landscape, know what's available out there. And again, we'll get into it here to kind of give you probably some direction by the end of this. But there isn't one answer I'm going to give you today. It doesn't really matter the method. Okay? It matters what you put into that method, and if that method matches you, like your personality and what you like to do. You don't want to do something in marketing. You don't want to do something that you hate. Unless you can hire somebody to do that thing you hate, that's a whole nother thing. But, for me, it's about, I don't have a magic pill either. Even the stuff that I'm doing, it's hard work. It's hard work. I'm going to win through brute force and a long-term effort. Right? I'm out there. I'm just every day, just doing the ground game, whatever you want to call that. I'm out there every day doing this stuff that I'm going to be talking about. And it's not an overnight success. There's nothing that's gone viral. It happens, but for most of us, it doesn't. Most of it's just plain and simply hard work. Okay, so let's dive into the next thing here is I want to kind of cover the investment, what you have to invest in this or not. And then kind of, again, what's out there and just in a broad terms, I'm not going to cover everything, but the things that I think about. And then a little bit about how to approach that and then how to make time for it, how that's going to work. So high level, there's always an investment in anything you do. So you're either going to invest money, a resource, or time, your own time, right? Time's going to come from somewhere, either a resource. Resource, I mean like a person, somebody that's going to help you, right? Not just you, somebody else. And that could be somebody you hire. That could be somebody you contract with, another agency out there that's going to help you with this or whatever. So it has to come from somewhere. You got to invest something. Now, the things out there and the things I think about when I start any business online, I've done this a number of times, and particularly with my agency, right? The first things, what am I going to do? I'm going to think about multiple things. Okay, it's going to be advertising, social media, SEO, networking, which is something more recently I've kind of defined, but it's something that I've always done. List building is part of that. Now, that's something you got to do first. You got to build a list, but then you're going to market to the list, right? You're not building a list for no reason. and then you have the content component of that, and actually building stuff. Things sometimes when you build stuff on its own, it kind of generates attention. So my decision in my business has been the first year or two, I didn't do really any marketing. I say that I technically did, right? I was kind of networking. That was my main thing. And I was getting referral business. I did a little bit, like I went on Upwork and found some work and just to get things going and just build relationships in that year or two. It wasn't until this past year, like a year ago, that I really started to have a actual effort around other things and get help. So my thing though was this past year up until now that I wasn't going to spend money on advertising. As I said earlier, I have done advertising. I spent years doing advertising. I have no interest in doing advertising if I don't have to. There's a lot of people in that camp where they don't want to spend that money. They want to do other things or do it more organically or do networking and stuff like that. So that was just something I decided that I wasn't going to spend money on advertising. That may change. I may have a scenario where I want to strategically use and do more targeted advertising, do it more strategically. Maybe when I come out with my product, I want to give it a little boost up front when I launch it, or there may be other specific reasons. Even this podcast, I could throw a little advertising at it. Thought about it, but it's more strategic. So that's how I'm going to use advertising. I'm not going to just advertise every day for the next 10 years for just a broad reason. There may be a time in the size of my agency where we do put a chunk of money aside to do that, but the revenue has to be there. That you have to have a clear objective with that, and probably I wouldn't be doing it myself. So there's that. So one of the things I always knew I would have is a heavy focus on content, and I'm going to promote that content through either SEO or social media, right? So the other thing that I did with that content was I did this podcast, and this is a piece of that strategy. Leaning into video this past year, starting to do video. That's part of that strategy. So again, social media, SEO, networking is a huge thing for me this year. We're doing more of that. We're focused more on that and just building stuff. Like I'm coming out with a product sometime this year, and that in and of itself will generate attention. So that I almost look at the act of launching new products as a marketing effort, because it's going to draw attention to your other things you do and to your brand in other ways. So it's another way. It kind of naturally, organically does that. But I used to build products back in the 2000s when I had all these digital products. I didn't have one membership. I launched satellite memberships, niche ones, I had a broader membership, and then I had kind of niche memberships, one just for pay-per-click, one for marketing. And then I had just other things that I would sell, scripts, software, whatever. So that's kind of how I look at that too. But so that is what I do. That is what I focus on. Again, are those things Are you going to do the same thing? You might. Are you going to do all those all at once? Let's talk about that shortly. Through that, though, you do all those things, and every business is a little bit different. Every product, every brand is different. You're different. I'm different. I'm definitely different. So the only way you really, truly learn is to just test, try things, and measure results. Just tweak, test, try things, measure results. The cycle. It's a constant cycle. Even though we've been doing social media now for a year, creating content every day for a year. And we've gone through this iteration of analyzing results, talking about it, adjusting, trying new things, introducing new things, stop doing that, start doing this. That's a continuous thing, and that's not going to stop. We're going to be doing that for as long as this business is alive. So for the next 500 centuries, So that's something you ought to be doing. One of the things that's important, you have to also be careful, though. You got to be careful how you define results. So the results for somebody else is that you can't copy that. So somebody else gets results, and they say that these are great results. These are the results you need. Not necessarily. Let's look at it let's look at it through the lens of social media. I get some engagement in my social media. I've built in this last year, and efforts before that. I've built relationships and stuff, so that kind of influences it a little bit. I don't get a lot, if I have a post that gets 5 likes, I'm over the moon. That's a great post for me. Now I get a lot of views, I'll get maybe hundreds of views or whatever on something, but the actual engagement is low. Now that sounds terrible, especially after a year of doing this every day and analyzing and tweaking and figuring out what topics we're going to post about and trying to be, interesting, funny, informative, helpful. We put a lot of work into this, trust me, for a year. And I have help. I have somebody in-house that helps me with, creating the content and distributing it and stuff. But I got a secret. I don't know if it's a secret. Yeah, look, that's a secret. It's not a secret anymore. I'm just talking about those people that they get hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of engagements of some kind on their posts. They just have this huge audience of tens of thousands of followers. And those are great results for them. But you know what? My level of engagement has also brought great results. And that are meaningful to my business. Now, another business, they need to get 10,000 likes on a post or whatever, translate that to whatever kind of work, advertising, whatever. Because they have huge budgets and huge, they have 1,000 people to pay, they're on payroll, whatever. They're going to need to do a lot more than somebody like me I'm not. It depends on what you consider small. I'm an agency. I have 3 full-time developers. Obviously, I'm making a virtual assistant. I outsource other work. I'm making some money, right? I have some left over for me. But see, I don't need 100 new sales a day or 100 new leads a day. I couldn't even manage that. At this point where I am with my business and my growth site, where I am in my growth, the results I'm getting are perfect. And my results are personal. And my results are measurable. So a year ago when we started this, and I hired somebody to help me, in that time frame, they've paid for themselves many times over. I've gotten leads, great leads. I've gotten, through the podcast, through the content we're doing and just posting every day, and the exposure, the exposure, the little tiny sliver of exposure that we get has impacted sales. We're not talking nickels and dimes. We're talking thousands, tens of thousands from those efforts, right? So that is what's important. What's important is it's the results are meaningful to you. So you can't be sad and upset if you got low engagement. Now, of course, you've got to have something that people want too, right? And that's the only reason that I converted business is through the people that we got their attention and we talked to or whatever, that we had a service that they could use or they knew somebody could use or whatever, however that trickles down. So you had to have something of value for people to actually buy, and you have to ask for the sale, right? That's a whole other thing, right? But don't let I had a strange experience this past year. Like, I actually had a client for a short while that had a huge Instagram following. I won't tell you why, though, but I learned that I didn't think this person was very profitable. They had a great following. I mean, like hundreds of thousands of people on Instagram following them, engaging with them. Pretty sure they weren't making money. Just be careful. Images, it's easy to be manipulative with images of people. So somebody like me that's kind of flying under the radar and I have kind of low engagement and stuff, that guy's not doing too well. Maybe he is. But my point is that no matter where you start with this and where you start with your marketing, no matter what method you choose, you have to always be measuring your results. And and it has to be your personal impact. What's working for you, right? What you can do, what you can invest, and what works for you. And then measuring the results of things you're doing, trying new things, mixing new things in. So how do you find that time? And so this is the kind of the last piece of the puzzle, right? So number one, how you start. If you're very busy already, like, okay, so I'm going to use myself as an example again. So I have to remind people sometimes, you got a podcast. Well, the person I talked to the other day, I was like, well, I don't know how you do it all. You got this podcast. That's got to be a whole business in and of itself. And it could be, but here's the thing. So I have to approach everything from the perspective. It's not even a perspective. It's just reality that I'm running a busy agency. Right now, as I'm recording this, I have emails coming in, I've seen, from clients with requests to get some things done, some tweaks done. Somebody has some terms of service they need updated, or they have, a deadline they just threw at me for something. And I'm going to I still have team stuff to review today. I still have, and to see, review work, then assign more work, manage all that. I got to do all that stuff, right? So with that reality, it's like, where does the podcast fit in? How am I doing the podcast? How am I doing marketing every day? How am I doing all that stuff? And it seems like a lot. It is a lot, right? And it's really a lot when it's somebody out there, and maybe it's you, that has never done marketing and sales before. Like, where do you even start? And how are you going to fit this into what you're doing? Well, first of all, you got to make it a priority, right? So as you know by now, through this episode, is that I have that background. So it's so ingrained in me when I'm starting a business that I think about marketing all the time. Even when I'm practicing my craft, even when I'm coding all day long, I come out of that coding and I'm probably thinking about marketing. Like I'll block time. Like 2 days ago, I blocked time 5-6 hours. I was setting up a project, implementing WebKit or Webpack into this theme project and just configuring things and doing all that technical stuff. And I got out of that and probably thinking about marketing, writing some content or whatever. But it has to become a priority. That's the only way you do anything. It's just like working out. If you don't make it a priority in your life, I didn't become a black belt in Taekwondo when I was 29, 30 years old because, I didn't make it a priority. I made it a priority. Even though I had, I was in the insurance business. I was working in an insurance agency at the time and I had a full-time job and all that stuff. The only reason I got the black belt is because every night after work, I went to the dojo and worked out and practiced. It's the same with working out in general. If you're going to go to the gym, the only way it's going to happen is if you make that a priority and move other things aside. That's the only way. If you don't make it a priority, then it's going to be easy to not do it. So you have to commit time every week, every day, sometime every day, every week to do it. Even if it's just 2 hours, right? Start with 2 hours. Now, if you're very busy, obviously, as in the beginning, you're not going to be able to invest a ton of time in it, especially if you're just doing it yourself. So you just choose an hour, choose 2 hours, a couple hours a week, and then an hour a day, a couple hours a day. You work up to it. Don't feel bad that you can't do it right out of the gates. You're going to have to work into it. And you start with something small. Now, I just named a bunch of things that I think about when I think about how I'm going to market my business, right? If I was going to start a contracting business today, I would, because I've done contracting, I would think about, how I'm going to put ads in the paper. It's just a natural thing. Depending on your business, like there's different things you do, right? As a contractor, a local contractor, I'm going to have I'm going to have other local advertising I'm going to think about. I'm not thinking about that online. There's certain things I think about. But out of it, there's still an array of things. So you still have to pick something. Try to pick something that you think you can do, that fits your personality, or maybe you do have a little experience in something. You can start with social media, but social media, you still have to have a game plan there. But you see if you can learn from others doing that or teaching that online. Follow some people. I follow a lot of people. I learn from people that are specialists in their various fields or doing different marketing and stuff. I'm not super focused on SEO. I don't know if I mentioned that. I actually thought it was a year ago. I thought we're going to do SEO too. And as the year progressed, I forgot about SEO. We do on-page SEO, but I don't do SEO in terms of the other stuff you do. Off-site SEO. I don't worry about SEO. I don't worry about that. My focus is really social media and networking. That's it. What else? What am I focused on? I'm not doing advertising, right? Social media. I'm not doing SEO really. Networking. Creating content. Building stuff. That's what I'm doing. But you gotta pick something. So you pick something, whether it's something I just mentioned or something else that you've learned about, and then you really go deep with that. And you learn everything you can. You don't have to learn it all at once either. Yeah, learn it as you go. And then back to measuring results. And you see how that does. Maybe you try it out gotta give things time. Some things need more time than others. Advertising may not need as much time. If you invest $5,000 in advertising in the next 2 months, you probably can measure the results of that a little faster, right? Advertising scales pretty easily just by how much money you throw at it. It's not quite the same. Well, it's a little bit like that with social media. You can scale up your content. That's a little different though. And you still have to invest in that. You do that. And then if that didn't work, then you identify something else. You try that. If you can, try multiple things at once. Again, a year ago, I we dove into SEO. We did actually multiple things. So we did SEO, we did some direct email, and then we did social media, creating content. And out of that, we dropped SEO, right? We still like it, direct email. We'll probably still do that in cycles. Social media, we're going hard into, is it hard into the paint? I don't know. I think that's what it is. And I may have just said something, that's not appropriate. I have no idea. Is it hard into the paint? That's what they say, right? I know English and I get confused sometimes. Okay, so so you find that thing though and do that. So start with one thing, bake it into your weekly routines, your daily or weekly routines. Start small, and what should happen if you invest a little time into it, eventually that should start reaping some kind of rewards. Maybe not right away. It may take weeks, 6 months, a year to start seeing results, especially if you're starting from scratch. I've known really good marketers that have made millions online that will never touch SEO because they like methods that you do see quicker results, and they have their methods that have made them those millions of dollars, and they don't like the idea of having to wait a year for SEO to work for them. So we've had those discussions with those folks, but everyone's different. So you got to decide. It's going to probably be a long game. It just depends on what you choose. But again, and then once you see the results, you measure those results. How did it do? Maybe you keep doing that same thing and you just tweak what you're doing. You make adjustments. You try new things. Study what other people are doing. Try to reverse engineer what others do. Maybe in your same industry, the same type of agency. See how they're marketing themselves out there. Maybe it's just networking. There's businesses. I had somebody on this podcast. He's got a business that's in like 26 states. He told me flat out, 90% networking. So, yeah. So the other part of this, I just said, bake it into your routines, is to create systems and processes around it. So if you look at me and what I do a lot of stuff, right? I'm going to get off this call, might have a little lunch, and I'm going to dive into client work. See, recording this podcast, though, is a priority. I got to do it. But it's part of it's something I don't stress about because I'm going to do it. I'm going to make the time, block the time, and then I'm doing it. And then I'm on to the next thing. It's part of this cycle, part of this process. The process of recording this and then editing it and then distributing it, there's steps. There's steps. I have help, right? I do certain things and then I hand off certain things to somebody else to help me with. But it's this defined process that we do week in and week out. We release one of these every week. We have a process. Same with any type of marketing you're doing. Okay? Every day when I wake up, there's certain things I do in the marketing arena every day. Okay? Every week. Podcasting is every week. There's other things you might do every week. So you have to do it. So it's not a matter of, if you create systems and processes, and I talk a lot about systems and processes. It's one of those things where it becomes, if you have a good process and good system, you have this built into your weekly, your dailies, monthlies, quarterlies, you have those things in there, it's less stress because you know it exists. You don't have to worry about doing it. You know you're going to do it. Right? When Thursday and Friday hit, if I haven't had a guest already that week, I know I'm going to sit down and do a solo podcast like I'm doing right now. Right? I don't stress about it. I know I'm going to do it. I'm going to block time. I know it's going to take an hour, 2 hours. That's it. On to the next. You have to build in those habits, those routines, those systems, those processes. That's how you get it done. There's no secret. There's no secret. And the only other thing that you can do to help with this whole situation is to hire somebody. Now, a year ago when I hired it's over a year ago now, my virtual assistant, she's done a dynamic job for me. I knew when I hired her, she was actually going to help. She's a virtual assistant. She's helped me with a lot of different things. But one of the things I knew she was going to help me with was marketing, because that was how she was going to earn. At least, here's the thing with virtual assistants, or anyone you hire, really. There's a lot of things I don't get to. I'm not going to hire somebody to just take care of those things, right? There's a lot of things in my business that don't make money. You can't really tie it directly to revenue. It's really important. It was important for me when I hired her that she was going to be connected to revenue somehow. So she was going to have to help get people in front of me to talk to close. And she did a dynamic job. That's why she's still here. And plus, she enjoys her job. She likes working with me or something, right? Right? I know you're listening to this. But no, so we have a blast. We have fun. We work well together. But that is another option, is to hire out. But otherwise, if you're a small shop or your funds are tight, you've got a small budget, you're just by yourself, there's no secret here. It's putting the stuff on your calendar, on your to-dos, and making it a priority. Yes, you got to do the client work. Yes, you got to take care of customers. Yes, you got to build products. Yes, you got to do all those other things. But every business also needs to market themselves if they want to grow and be here in 5 years, And again, this is why I did this episode, is because when I had that conversation the other day, it really dawned on me, like I take a lot of things for granted. I take my experience for granted. I have all those years of marketing and sales experience, offline and online, 2 decades, essentially, and plus another decade actually doing it, applying it to web development, this agency and everything else. So I have all that background, right? Not everybody does. And that's the thing. If you're going to really do this, if you really want to build a business, an agency, or just be a freelancer, and you want to promote yourself, just got to, like anything, you got to get started and you got to choose something and try it. And then measure the results, try it again, tweak it, try something new. You want to try a lot of different things, figure out what works. And then once you find something that works, you go deeper with that. You expand it. Okay? We kind of did that with social media stuff. We were testing it. We were getting engagement. It was leading to things. So, okay, how can we do more content? We're going to always have those conversations. How can we do more? And we can do more in a variety of different ways. We have conversations about the type of content we're putting out there and how we're doing it. All of that stuff is always happening. So we found what our thing is, and now we're just hopefully over the coming years, we'll just get better and better and better at it. No secrets. Till next time, I hope this episode was helpful. If you got any questions, you want to talk about any of this stuff, whether it's somewhere we posted this on social media, or in the show notes. You can make comments on our show notes on our website, on YouTube, wherever. Or if you want to send me a DM or something and just, hey, can you tell me more about that? Or just want to start a conversation. You know where to find me. Yeah. Until next time. Take care.
That's all for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed that. Again, please subscribe if you haven't already and give us a thumbs up if we deserve it. If you want to comment on this podcast or provide me with requests on topics for future episodes, please find your way to thebuilders.fm. You can contact me there or add a comment under these show notes. Now a word from our sponsor, Unified Web Design. That's my agency. We build custom websites, features, we maintain websites, we work with agencies to fulfill their web design and development needs, and more. If you're interested in our services or looking for an agency to work with as a partner to build awesome sites for your clients, feel free to reach out to me at unifiedwebdesign.com. There's a handy contact me link at the top. Fill out that form and it will open a ticket, and that ticket will find its way to me. Thanks for joining me today. We'll see you next time.